I became invisible in my own home. So I disappeared without saying goodbye. My name is Ethan Keller, and long before my marriage ended, I had already started fading away. It wasn't one big fight, or a betrayal you could point a finger at. It was slower than that, quieter, like a candle running out of wax. You don't notice the moment it dies, just the darkness that follows. My wife, Clara, and I had been married for 8 years. The first half of it we were a team, not just in love but dreaming together. We wanted to build something real, not just a house but a life that felt like home. Around year 5 everything changed. And I didn't even realize it until much later. We were trying for kids. We both wanted children desperately. But after a year of nothing we turned to fertility treatments. That turned into doctor visits, hormone injections, blood tests, and calendar-driven intimacy. We followed every recommendation like gospel. Each month came with hope. And each one ended with that same quiet, suffocating disappointment. Clara took it the hardest. I watched her shrink inside herself. Emotionally, spiritually. First I chalked it up to stress. I thought we were grieving together. But somewhere in that haze of medical bills and missed periods, she stopped trying. Not just with the treatments, but with me. The affection faded. No more spontaneous hugs, no laughter in the kitchen. Even her complaints, those little annoyances married people toss back and forth, those stopped too. What replaced them was worse. Silence. She wasn't angry. She was absent. We still shared the same house, the same bed, the same dinner table. But I felt like a ghost haunting my own life. And the worst part, she didn't even seem to notice. Then came her sister, Megan. Megan showed up at our front door with 2 kids, a trunk of baggage, emotional and literal, and a sob story about her cheating ex-husband. I felt bad for her, honestly. Her marriage had exploded, cops had been called, things had gotten ugly. Clara asked me if she could stay for a few days. Of course I said yes. But a few days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. Suddenly, Megan and her kids were living in our house like they owned the place. Her things took over the guest room. Her kids' toys were everywhere. I mean everywhere. In the living room, on our bed, even in the fridge for some reason. I'd come home from work to screaming kids, the TV blaring, and the smell of something burning in the kitchen. Every day felt like I was walking into a daycare center managed by chaos. I tried talking to Clara. Only, gently. She shut me down. She's my sister. She needs time. You're being dramatic. Every concern I raised was dismissed. And then the mockery started. One evening, while I was standing in the kitchen, Megan tossed a cheap jab at me. I don't even remember what she said, but it was meant to humiliate me in front of everyone. Clara just laughed. "Oh, stop," she said with a smirk. "He's sensitive." That one moment stuck with me. It wasn't just the joke. It was the look in her eyes, the fact that she chose to join in. That's when I knew. I wasn't her partner anymore. I was a placeholder. I started sleeping on the couch. Sometimes even in the car. Megan and her kids were now sleeping in our bed, the same one Clara and I used to share. I stayed longer than I should have. I told myself she was hurting, that maybe this was just a rough patch, that we'd come out of it stronger. But in truth, I was hoping for a version of her that had stopped existing years ago. So I made a decision. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. Plan. I packed essential clothes, my laptop, documents, a few sentimental items. I rented a small storage unit 40 miles away. Paid in cash. I opened a separate bank account under a name variation. Got a new prepaid phone. Even picked out a new city. Quiet, small, forgettable. If I left, I wanted it to be clean. No confrontation. Just gone. Then came the barbecue. I didn't know about it. No one told me. I walked into my backyard and found Clara, Megan, their parents, the neighbors, kids darting around with juice boxes. Burgers sizzling on the grill. Everyone laughing. Everyone but me. Felt like stepping into someone else's life. And then Megan's voice cut through the party. If Ethan disappeared tomorrow, I don't think anyone would notice. Laughter. She was right, though. I had disappeared. Emotionally, spiritually. The man I used to be. Already gone. So I raised my hot dog like a glass of wine and said, "Challenge accepted." That night I packed a bag. Just the essentials. I left the signed divorce papers in the center of the kitchen counter. On top was a yellow sticky note. "You noticed yet?" Then I walked out. I deleted my social media, swapped SIM cards, and drove to a cabin I had rented 3 towns over. Paid up front. No questions asked. There, in that quiet space surrounded by trees, I remembered how it felt to breathe. I took on small freelance gigs to make ends meet. Better. Slept better. I let my beard grow. No deadlines. No tension. No noise. Months. That's how long I vanished. Until one day, I logged into an old email to retrieve a document. That's when I saw them. Dozens of emails from Clara. At first they were furious. "You're a coward. You abandoned me. You'll regret this." But as time passed, so did the tone. She started asking why. Then she started apologizing. She told me she was behind on the mortgage. Megan and the kids were gone. She was working 2 jobs to keep the house. She wrote, "I get it now. I finally understand what you were trying to tell me all those years. I wish I hadn't laughed at you. I wish I hadn't let her stay. I thought you'd always be there. I thought you were unbreakable. The last one broke me. I haven't signed the divorce papers. I keep hoping one day you'll come home. But hope isn't a strategy. And love isn't a leash." 1 year after I left, I walked into a small coffee shop. As fate would have it, I ran into Ryan, an old mutual friend. We kept it brief. I didn't tell him where I was staying. 6 days later, there was a knock at my cabin door. It was Clara. Her eyes were swollen. No makeup. No rehearsed speech. She just cried. She said she was sorry. That she finally saw everything for what it was. That she should have listened, really listened. That she never meant to make me feel invisible. I stood there quietly. Then I said, "I'll come back, but only to end this the right way. I'll sign what needs signing. But I can't be your husband anymore. Not after what your sister put me through. And not after you stood there and let it happen." She didn't argue. She just nodded and left. Looking back now, I know I made the right choice. Sometimes people only recognize your value in your absence. But by then it's too late. So if you're watching this and feeling like you're slowly disappearing, let me tell you something. Don't wait until you're broken to prove that you were whole. And if you're the one taking someone for granted, don't wait for them to vanish just to realize they mattered. Because once someone truly disappears, they don't always come back. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Share your story. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, send it to them. You might just help them take their first step toward healing.